Today we're diving into the most important thing that you can be managing with your lawn to make sure it's the best on the block. And you guessed it, it's water. So here are my best water management tips for you to consider using on your lawn. If you ever get a chance to talk with a golf course superintendent, he'll probably tell you that every green on the course is a little bit different and requires a little more water or a little less. And your lawn's gonna be the same way. Your lawn's gonna be different from your neighbors, different from your friends. Your front lawn's even probably gonna be different than your back lawn. So what's gonna be different? Well, you're gonna have different soil types, you're gonna have different grass species. Within those grass species, you're gonna have different varieties for sure. We can have sun versus shade, we can have different elevations that dry out quicker. So what's my point? Point is, I want you to know your lawn and manage it according to its needs. The goal is to keep the soil adequately moist at all times. If it's too dry, of course, it's gonna go brown, get drought stress, and worse, heat stress, and we're going to talk more about that later. If the soil stays too wet, the roots can't get the oxygen that they need, and the excess moisture also will help breed fungus disease. To keep it at the perfect moisture, you're going to want to use a few management tools, and that's tip number 1. Use your rain gauge, soil probe, and of course your sprinkler. Use your rain gauge to time how long it takes your sprinkler to drop a 1/4 inch of water, and that'll give you a good baseline for how long you need to run your sprinklers. You might find it only takes 5 to 10 minutes to drop a decent amount of water. Use your soil probe in the areas that tend to dry out. You might find that despite your watering, the soil's still bone dry, and that would indicate a need for maybe an aeration, a soil amendment, or hydrocharge. Tip number 2. The best time to water your lawn is in the early morning. There won't be much evaporation at that point, and you'll get more water into the soil where it belongs. Pro tip, if you have an automatic sprinkler system and you have it set to run early in the morning, and if it's before you get up in the morning, you might never see if a head is broken or something needs to be adjusted. So make sure you watch your sprinklers run maybe once a week. So we always say to water in the morning, but what if your lawn's drying out in the afternoon? It is okay to give it some water then to cool it down. Pro turf managers do that all the time. They call it a syringe cycle. If you can't water in the morning, water when you can, because some water is better than no water. Tip number 3, consider what types of sprinklers are best suited for your lawn. A properly designed and adjusted automatic sprinkler system is the most convenient and efficient way to water by far. But maybe you only have a small lawn or have just that one spot that dries out quickly. Again, do what works for you, just as long as you know that baseline amount that your sprinkler puts out and how much area it covers. Tip number 4, monitor the weather. Use that rain gauge and keep a log and adjust your watering accordingly. Don't be that guy who runs his sprinklers when it just rained all night. Take humidity into account too. When it's humid, the grass does not lose as much water to transpiration, and so you don't need to water as much as you might think. Your lawn will dry out more on a low humidity 75-degree day than it will on a 90-degree humid day. Tip number 5, embrace conservation practices. If you know that you can't give your property the water that it needs, try planting a drought-tolerant species like turf-type tall fescue here in the Midwest. Tip number 6, know what products to apply. Try a surfactant product like hydrocharge. Make sure you're using slow-release fertilizers. I don't want you to put anything quick-release on a stressed lawn. And then you can also try Nutrisoft gypsum to loosen up clay soils. Tip number 7, sometimes it's just too hot and dry to keep up with the watering and your lawn is going to get stressed. Well, that's okay as long as you know what drought stress is and what heat stress is, and you don't make it worse. Stay off the lawn when it's stressed. Don't mow in the heat of the day or you'll leave brown tire tracks, even with a small push mower. I wait till evening to mow mine, and I want you to avoid kiddie pools, bounce houses, any sort of thing that's going to heat up on the lawn. It helps if you know the difference between drought stress and heat stress. When the lawn's getting dry and you walk across it, it'll leave footprints that don't spring back quite right away, and it'll often have kind of a grayish, blackish tint to it. So that's when it's dry. If you give it a good watering right then, it'll spring back almost immediately and you'll be good. Turf areas along the sidewalks, driveways, and curbs will often overheat, turning a straw brown. So that's heat stress, and that's not going to come back right away. The grass has activated a self-defense mechanism where it goes into dormancy, and it's going to take a change in the weather and a whole lot of water to break that dormancy. And once that grass does start to regrow, it'll grow back pretty quickly. Well, that's a wrap on our lawn watering and summer stress guide. These tips should have your lawn looking green all summer while your neighbors are green with envy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And for more tips and tricks and to shop our products, visit andersonshomeandgarden.com.